Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Hannah. Today I really wanted to do a sit-down video and a Q&A to help you guys know who I am and what I am all about and kind of my background and how I got into fashion and why I love fashion so much. So I actually asked you guys on my Instagram. If you're not following my Instagram already, please do so. I always link it down below for you guys, but I thought I would go through the questions that you guys asked on Instagram as well as questions that I kind of came up with just to really sum up myself. I mean, I can't sum myself up in this short period of time, but just kind of explain and kind of share more about my personal life and who I am so I can connect with you guys more, because that's what this channel is all about. I want to kind of form a family where we are able to communicate and talk and just share our love for fashion, skincare, our life, what's new, what's making us happy, and etc. So I thought I would do a little Q&A. So here we go. The first question is, where are you from? I am from Reisterstown, Maryland. It is about like 20 minutes outside of Baltimore, to give you kind of a sense of where I'm at. What college did you go to and what did you major in? I have my questions on my phone, by the way, that's why I'm looking at it. So I went to the Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia, and I majored in fashion marketing and management. What is your zodiac sign? I am a Leo. I was born August 6th. So yep, that makes me a Leo. How did you get into fashion? So I got into fashion from a really young age. I grew up in a very creative family. My aunt owns a boutique. My mom has done a bunch of different creative careers. She was originally a nurse, but then she went into owning her own boutique and also getting a major in interior designing, and she staged houses. She also sews. She sewed all of my aunt's bridesmaids dresses and flower girl dresses. That's a little fun fact. So I kind of, from my family, that's kind of how I got into liking fashion and just liking the creative path. So that's how I kind of got into liking that. But when I was younger, I actually played a lot of sports. I'm a huge sports person, which I find that really funny, or a lot of people find that funny, because if people knew me from the sports world, they would never expect me to like fashion. And when people knew me just from the fashion world, they would never expect me to love sports and play sports as much as I do. So it kind of was like two different lives I was living. But I loved that. I loved how I could be two separate people. I mean, of course I was the same person, but I just loved that I could love sports and play sports, but also have this passion for fashion. I just rhymed and that was so corny. But yeah, so, and then my older cousin actually was the first person that kind of showed me that I could do fashion as my career. She went to NYU and she did I forget what it's called, but it's the major that you kind of pick your own major, and she started going into fashion photography and all that stuff, and I was like, wait, I can actually do this for a career. That's so cool, because in school I really didn't like any subject besides like art, and I took photography and all those like creative subjects that I got to take. I basically took every creative class my high school offered. So those were always my favorite, but then when I saw my cousin going to college for a creative path, I was like, that's what I want to do. That's definitely what I want to do. So that's kind of how I got into fashion and how I pursued a major in fashion marketing. What are your favorite stores you shop at? So I am definitely a person that loves to shop at small stores. I love to find unique and not so known brands. That's something that I have always loved doing. I love to search them either through Instagram, Facebook, well, not really Facebook, but Instagram, and just like searching online. I love to find unique brands that a lot of people haven't heard of before. And then I also love shopping vintage. I just think it is not only very sustainable, but also I think you can find the coolest pieces, and a lot of my favorite pieces that I have in my wardrobe right now are vintage because they're just one of the kind. It's yours, nobody else can have it. It makes it unique to you, and so I love that about vintage clothing. But some of my favorite stores right now, I love Realization Par. I love Evelina Vintage on Instagram, and she also has a website. But I love her dresses and her jackets. I got my leather jacket from there a couple weeks ago, and it's my favorite piece that I have in my wardrobe right now. I'm obsessed with it. So I love her. I also love this brand that I don't really know how to pronounce, but I'll put it right there, and I'm just not going to try to pronounce it again because I struggled so hard when I tried to pronounce it in my last video I did. But I love that brand. I think they are so cool. They're becoming really popular right now, especially through Instagram, but I love them. I love Musée Paris. Some more like known, I love Arquette. That's a pretty known brand. I do love trying to purchase from more sustainable brands. I try to steer away from fast fashion brands just because through majoring in fashion marketing, we learned a lot about labor and the factories and the conditions and what fast fashion really means behind the scenes. If you would like me to do a video about what fast fashion really is and kind of what people don't really know, what is actually happening with fast fashion clothing and the stores like Zara, H&M, I would be happy to do a video on that. I'm very passionate about that. It's something that I loved learning in school a lot. It was definitely hard to learn about because I shopped fast fashion all the time before that, but now I don't remember the last time I purchased from H&M because I just try to steer away from fast fashion brands as much as possible. But yeah, so that's some of the brands that I like. What advice would you give someone who's starting to build their wardrobe? So I would definitely, when starting to build a wardrobe, go purchase the timeless pieces first. Don't go purchase something that is very on trend, that's colorful, or something that has to do with like a lot of patterns on it or something like that. I would go neutral and your basics like trousers, a mini dress, jeans, like a white button-up, like things like that, because you know they will never go out of season and never go out of trend. It's something you will always have in your wardrobe. So definitely I suggest people buying neutral colors and items that you know will last a lifetime in your wardrobe and that are seasonless and timeless. What are some of your favorite things to do? Some of my favorite things to do is definitely obviously go shopping, looking at stores either online or going to stores. I love thrifting. I love going to and hunting down the best thrift shops wherever I visit with my friends or just by myself and finding that perfect piece. Like that's one of my favorite things to do. But also I love spending time with my friends and my family. I love going out to dinner or just kind of chilling at somebody's house, drinking wine with them. Like I think that's so fun, just snacking on appetizers and just like talking. I also, like I said, I am a huge sports fan. I love the Maryland Terps and I love the Baltimore Ravens. So my favorite thing to do with my dad and on Sundays is to watch the Ravens game, especially right now. Every Sunday I'm pretty much sitting on the couch watching football all day. Believe it or not, that's what I do. I just love football and basketball so much. So when football season, I am all about the Baltimore Ravens, and then Maryland Terps basketball is starting soon, so I will be watching their games very shortly, and I'm so excited for their season. Hopefully, praying that their season happens, because I know cases are starting to rise. Would you rather have vintage or new clothes? I personally would rather have vintage clothes just because I think they're more special and unique, and also it gives character. I don't know, there's just something about a vintage piece, you just know that there's so much history behind it, and I think that's so cool. So I would definitely, if I could only purchase one thing the rest of my life, I would definitely only purchase vintage clothing. Where do you want to live when you're older and why? I feel like this question has changed in the last months because of quarantine. If you would have asked me this question right after college or getting ready to graduate, I would say I would be living in New York. But quarantine kind of changed a lot of things. So I don't know where I would want to live. I definitely would, I don't know. I could see myself living in New York just for a year or two. If I did that, I feel like I wouldn't live in New York for my whole life, just because my dream is to start a family and I don't want to be living in the city with a family. I definitely want to be somewhere where I can drive and there's a lot of greenery and grass. So I could see myself living in California, somewhere warm. I don't know. That's a hard question because I feel like my life has totally changed and I'm here for it. I'm happy about it. But it's hard to answer that because I feel like my answer is so different now than how I thought I would be answering this. But yeah, I could definitely see myself living in California or really anywhere. I can't say I don't think I want to live in Baltimore when I'm older. I can say that. But anywhere else I'm pretty open to. I love visiting new places, exploring new places. I definitely want to travel a lot when I get older. I love exploring new cultures, the people, the food, the fashion. I just love that. I studied abroad twice at school. I went to Hong Kong and I went to La Crosse, France. And while I was there, I got to travel to a bunch of different other places, and that was my favorite thing ever. I loved that because I got to experience so many different places in a short period of time, and that was so fun. So I would definitely love to travel when I'm older. But yeah, I'm pretty much open to living anywhere. I mean, I think wherever I do live, it will be right and for the right reasons. So I'm just gonna let fate tell me where I should live. I don't know. Pretty open. Okay. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? Not physically. I thought this was a really great question when I saw it. I think I would change me. The one thing I would change is probably how I overanalyze everything. I think way too much about one thing, or I constantly think people are gonna judge, and I constantly put what they're thinking. Like that doesn't make sense. Hold on, let me try to say what I'm trying to say. That would be nice, Hannah. But I feel like I put thoughts in other people's heads, and even if they're not thinking that, I think they are. And so sometimes I don't do things because I'm scared people are gonna judge me, or I overanalyze anything before I actually do it. And I hate that because if I love it and it makes me happy, then anybody's opinion shouldn't matter, because it's me and it's what I love and it's what I want to do. So that should be enough. And I second guess that. And so that's definitely something that I'm working on and something I would change if I could about myself. Where do you get your style inspo from? I definitely get my style inspo from social media. I think that is just a place where you can see so many different people's style, whether somebody wearing it, but also just like from pictures or art or really anything, like landscape. I just think the colors of landscape could bring me inspiration, like, oh my god, I love those two colors together. I want to wear something with those two colors in it. Have you picked up any new hobbies since quarantine? I actually have. I started boxing, and I know I mentioned this in my last vlog, but yes, boxing is my new hobby and I am fully hooked. I love it so much. I actually have been wanting to start boxing for a while, but I was intimidated by it because I just thought it was such a manly sport and I didn't know like what place to go to or what was the right boxing company to work out in, because I didn't know if it was like just for professionals, because clearly I'm not a professional. I just wanted it for the workout. But my friend Shayna, actually, I told her about it and she's like, Hannah, I would totally do that with you. So I was like, this is perfect. So we Googled some boxing places and we found one that was so close to my house, and it is exactly what I wanted. I am obsessed with it. I go pretty much every other day. Sometimes I go 2 times a day. Sometimes I go back to back, but I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It makes me feel so good because especially during these tough times right now, you can get out all your energy, your anger, your anxiety, just like anything you're feeling, you can just box it out. You can punch the bag and release it, and I need that in my life. And so it's nice that when I go to boxing, I know it's 45 minutes of just releasing anything I want to release, and it's kind of me in the bag and that's it. So yeah, definitely been loving boxing, and I'm hopefully gonna keep up with it because it has really helped me and my mental state, to be honest. It's kind of like a form of therapy. So if you need to release any anger, anything at all, highly recommend boxing. What have you learned about yourself since quarantine? That's a good question. What have I learned about myself since quarantine? I feel like I learned that I am actually a pretty active person, and I do a lot of things like outside of my home, which I always thought I was more of a homebody and like to stay home. But during quarantine, I really realized how much I need to get out of the house and how much I need to do things, and how anxious and like, I don't know, jittery I was just like doing the same thing over and over and over again. I just needed change. And so I think that's definitely something I didn't realize about myself. I didn't think I was somebody who had to always be doing something, but yeah, I definitely am. If you could pick only 2 items in your skincare routine, what would it be? Wow. If I could only pick 2 items, I would definitely pick my cleanser, just because I feel like if you don't have a cleanser to start off with, the other things don't matter. Like after a long day, my face feels so dirty, so I just want to cleanse it and just like feel fresh. So I would definitely pick a cleanser. And then second, I would have to pick my sunscreen moisturizer, because that just helps your face in so many ways. So not only is it moisturizing, but it's also protecting you from the sun. So yeah, those are probably the 2 that I would have to pick if I could only have 2 items in my skincare routine. What are some past jobs you have had? Okay, so my first ever job that I've ever had was at a catering company. I worked for Rouge Catering here in Maryland, and I was a server. And that was a hard job. I loved that job, and it was a perfect job. I had that in high school because I played sports all high school, so I really couldn't get a full-time job, and this job allowed me to pick my own schedule, so which was really helpful because I played AAU basketball, and if anybody plays AAU basketball or any travel sport, you know that you have tournaments pretty much every single weekend. So it was really hard to have a job in high school, but this job allowed me to pick my own schedule. So they would send me dates, and if I knew I didn't have a tournament, I could say yes to it, but if I knew I did, I could say no. So that was a perfect job for me, especially somebody who played sports and needed flexible hours. So I loved that one, but it was very tough because you would go to your event and you would, like, sometimes I would have to be there at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I wouldn't get back until like 12 o'clock at night. It was like an all-day thing, and you're on your feet. Your feet are killing by the end of the night. They were so sore and swollen, it was hard to walk the next day. So, but it paid good money, and it was a very easy job and perfect for me in high school. And then my second job, I worked at Madewell in a mall near home, and I loved that job. That was my first retail experience, and I loved the people that I worked with. It was a really good group, and I loved retail. I know a lot of people said retail is like the worst job that you could possibly have, or whatever they say, but I personally loved it because I love helping customers find that perfect outfit that's going to make them feel confident and comfortable every single day. Like, and I love seeing the smile on their face and just making them happy. So I loved working retail, and maybe it was just because I had a really great experience with great workers at Madewell, and that's what made it so great. But yeah, I loved working at Madewell a lot. And then the next job was an internship. So I interned my junior year summer before my senior year, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it was junior summer I interned. That would make sense. And I interned at Sierra Fashion Book, which is an independent magazine in New York, and I loved it. It was like incredible. I loved everything about it. It was definitely a lot of work because, I mean, we were the interns, so we did whatever and anything somebody told us to do. So some days I would look at my phone and I walked like 14 miles. And so I did get a lot of exercise, and I lost weight actually, so it was helpful. But yeah, I loved it just because it was my first like real fashion experience, and it was on a magazine, and it was Corrine Wortfeld's magazine. Like, where else would you want to work, you know what I mean? So I loved that so much, and I got to go on set and help the stylist, and that was a lot of fun because I've never been on a full-blown like shoot, and that was so cool to experience like honestly how crazy it is, because there was one shoot and it was for the cover shoot, and I got to be on it, and literally you were just running around the entire time, but I loved every minute of it. So yeah, so that was a great internship. And then I also met a lot of great people. And then my next job, I freelanced a lot. So my cousin actually owns her own creative agency called Demange Creative, and I freelanced for her a lot. I was her styling assistant for some of the shoots that she was on, and also I was her social media assistant, and I like found different new artists and photographers and creatives to post on her social media account. And then yeah, I've helped them out a couple times since. I mean, I always help them out, obviously. She's my cousin, and her partner is like my other cousin, so they're both family. And so yeah, I help them out whenever they need. And then I also freelanced one time as a styling assistant for Moda Operandi, which was a lot of fun. That was e-commerce, so it was different than the shoots that I was on for CR Fashion Book, and so that was interesting, and I liked seeing the difference between the two. And then this past winter and spring, I had the opportunity freelancing for CR Fashion Book, so instead of just being an intern, I would actually work there, which is kind of cool to see the difference. And I was the fashion assistant, so I was the market director's assistant, and I also assisted pretty much anyone that needed assisting. Anyone that told me what to do, I did, you know what I mean? But that was cool because I had a lot more responsibilities. I was actually in charge of the interns this time, which was really different and kind of was a struggle for me because I just felt weird telling them what to do and asking them to do things because I felt like I should have been an intern, do you know what I mean? Like, it was weird being on the other end of it, but I loved my interns so much. I was obsessed with them. I was like friends with them, honestly. Like, I would just go back there and like talk to them if I was not doing anything. But so I did that, and I also got to schedule Fashion Week for the market director and also the digital director, which was very scary, very, 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 very scary, because that was my first Fashion Week scheduling, obviously, and I kind of learned as I went, so that was really scary, but it worked out really well, and I survived, so that's good. I mean, I'm still standing, so, you know, positives. But yeah, I loved the people at CR. They were so sweet and so nice. It was kind of like they're like a little family, which is really nice. And also, you don't really usually see a like magazine company that's such a small knit group. Like, you would think that with such a big magazine, you would think that there would be a lot of people that work there, but it was like one floor office. So it was a really small group, and I loved that about it because everybody knew each other, everybody talked throughout the office. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, so that's everything that I've done job wise. Okay, moving on. That was a long one. Wow. What motivates you? Good question. Well, I would say my personality, I am definitely a perfectionist, which tends to hurt me sometimes because I like things to be perfect. I like everything to be done a certain way, which can be bad at sometimes, but I think how determined I am to succeed and how passionate I am about just building a career and moving forward, and my perfectionist side of myself, I think that really motivates me. And also just like my friends and my family that I have around me who supports me and who believes in me, I think that also motivates me to strive to be better and to do better. Knowing that I have such a good support system motivates me. So I definitely think my support system and also just my drive to want more and do more, I think that's what motivates me, yeah. But that is all the questions that I was given. If you have any more questions, I would love to answer them. I think this video was so important because I think it is important for you guys to know a little bit about me, a little bit about my background, and that I'm not just posting fashion because I like it. I've experienced it. I have had jobs in the fashion industry. So yeah, I wanted to just tell you guys a little more about myself, so you felt a deeper connection every time that you watched my videos. So if you have any other questions, just leave them in the comments down below and I would be happy to answer them. I'm also going to be doing Who Knows Me Better with my sisters. So not only for you guys to learn a little bit more about me and kind of like funny questions, but I think it would be a fun challenge to see what sister knows me better. I honestly don't know. I actually asked my two friends these questions and they did really well, so it'll be interesting to see how my sisters do since I asked them to see if they know me better than my friends or if my friends know me better. But yeah, so I'm really excited to do that challenge with them. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this very casual sit-down video, kind of learning more about me. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and again, please comment any other questions you may have down below. I would love, love, love to answer them. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, love you.